Now, Manchester City is one of 10 Premier League teams who have gone into partnership with the UK's largest online secondary ticket seller, Viagogo. The deal means that City's platinum season card holders who can't attend a game can resell their ticket to a fellow fan, charging up to 150% of the match day price. Now, Viagogo takes 10% from the buyer, 15% from the seller, and of course there is a booking fee. But City fan Adam Keyworth objected and set up a not-for-profit ticket exchange on Twitter.
Originally it was MCFC Ticket Exchange, but we've changed that now to City Ticket X. We've probably helped about 100 exchanges, and one day the site had just disappeared, and it turns out that City had contacted Twitter and asked them to close it down. Apparently we were going against copyright. We'll never touch a ticket. All we'll simply do is let other people know, and then they'd arrange it between themselves. I just think that if you're going to have £20 on as an admin fee in doing pretty much the same thing as we're doing, I don't see how that can be justified, really.
Well, in a moment, we'll speak to Edward Parkinson, who's head of marketing at Viagogo. Before that, let's speak to Malcolm Clark, who is chairman of the Football Supporters Federation. Malcolm, what do you make of what Manchester City are doing? They're not the only ones, but they are one of 10 who've entered into this kind of deal with Viagogo.
Well, I'm afraid we think it's basically legalised touting. If these tickets were sold outside the ground by the supporter for up to 150% of the face value, they'd be committing a criminal offence and could even get a football banning order for it. But because it's authorised by Manchester City, it becomes legal. And I simply can't understand why Manchester City can't do this themselves. They have an electronic system for getting into the ground. All they need to do, if somebody says we can't go, cancel the ticket for that game, sell that seat at face value, and if they charge a £5 admin fee or something like that, I don't think they'd really need that money, but I don't think anybody would object too much. Why do they have to go through Viagogo?
Does it matter that it's a particular group? It's City's platinum season card holders. It's people who can't attend a game. It's not everyone, is it? Isn't it quite a neat way of doing things, of making sure that the ticket is used?
Well, it's not neat if people are paying above the face value for a ticket, and that's the fundamental point of principle. In fact, season ticket holders pay less than the face value of the ticket because that's the nature of season ticket holders. So even reselling it at face value would give them a little bit of a profit. But why do it? I mean, I don't particularly blame Viagogo. I'd say it's nice work if you can get it at £20 administration fee, which seems a ludicrously high amount. But the fundamental point of principle is that they should not be sold above face value, right, because that would be criminal. And what Adam is doing is absolutely sensible and the right way to approach it. OK, Malcolm, thank you very much. As I said, let's speak to Edward Parkinson, who's head of marketing at Viagogo. Hello, Edward.
Hello there.
Well, Malcolm has said pretty much that he doesn't necessarily blame you. It's perhaps more the club's fault. But why enter into these kind of deals? Because a lot of fans think that they're morally wrong.
Well, I think it's important to remember the situation before Viagogo. Before we set up this secure service with the club, Manchester City and, as you mentioned, 10 Premier League clubs, fans looking for tickets, in particular to sold-out games, really had two choices: stay at home or take your chances with someone selling in the pub or on the street. And in those cases, very often paying far more, much higher prices, because the person just looks you up and down and decides how much you can afford. And certainly with no guarantee that if something goes wrong or you don't get into the event, that you have any recourse.
But isn't there a third option, which is what Malcolm was talking about, which again is not necessarily to do with you, but it makes the situation, it presents more choice, that the fan takes control of it, that the club takes control of it. If a fan cannot go, they contact the club and then the club will resell it for the same price. So that would be a third option in an ideal world.
So the club has taken control of it by working with us. We're the leading ticket marketplace provider in the UK, and we work with 10 Premier League clubs.
But the price, it goes up, doesn't it? I mean,
here's the
charges.
Well, they're two separate things. Here's the point on the pricing. Everyone understands that for the really popular games, sold-out matches, supply and demand is in action. And people know that those tickets, especially when they're sold out, will be worth a bit more than the matchday box office price. So here's the point, really. By allowing flexibility for season ticket holders to set some of the prices, they feel that they're getting a fair price for their ticket. And crucially, they aren't tempted to sell it elsewhere, on the street, in the pub, through those black market channels. By allowing that season ticket holder flexibility, that means more of them will sell through the official channel. That's the right way to do it because that's the club endorsed channel. And that means that the prices actually at the end of the day will be lower because the prices are lower.
But could the club not just do it free?
But here's the point there. If you restrict pricing, some sellers will simply turn to the unofficial channels in the pubs and car parks. That's just a reality. In order to stop them doing that, we give them a bit of flexibility and say, look, you can sell their ticket for up to 50% more than the box office price, but we limit the number of games that they can do it for, so they can't make a profit on their season ticket over the season.
All right. Well, thank you to both of you. Thank you to Edward Parkinson from Viagogo and also to Malcolm Clark, who is chairman of the Football Supporters Federation.